The Leopard, or Il Gatto Pardo. It's a new Italian Netflix series that I just got finished watching and I highly recommend it to you. It's a very well written show, very character driven show. Just think War and Peace, the BBC series, meets The Crown. Political, royalty, family drama. As I said, it's very well written, very character driven. But I will say that is a little bit of a weakness just because as an American, I'm not familiar with 19th century politics in Italy or Sicily. So sometimes it's a little bit hard to follow, but since the show is so character driven, I think it still works and it's still very engaging because their characters are very complex. Most notably, the star of the show, the leopard, Fabrizio Salina, and his eldest favorite daughter, Concetta. A brief summary, I don't want to butcher the history because I know this is based off a real history. It's based off of a book of the same name. So I'm gonna do my best to accurately give you the summary. All this was new to me. I had no idea. But essentially, in the mid 1800s, the Italian empire was going to all the nearby islands, trying to unite it and trying to broaden the Italian empire. So they were kind of conquering them in a way, or just trying to absorb their little country. And Sicily was one of them. And Sicily is a very old-fashioned culture, and they're very set in their ways. They're very prideful. And the Salina family is a royal family on that island. I'm not sure if they are the royal family or if they just have the noblest, oldest blood or something, because they don't like rule like a real kingdom. They just have like a high status and people treat them with a lot of respect. So again, I don't know how it works. It wasn't thoroughly explained, but at the same time, it's kind of okay that they didn't spend so much time like giving you the rundown of how everything works. So I just went with it and I still followed the story and I very much enjoyed it. And essentially, since there still is an aristocracy in Sicily, they do not like this revolution that's happening. They do not like that their way of life is going to change. So essentially, that's the show. Following the family, following Fabrizio, the head of the family, following them deal with this coming threat and deal with this political change to their lifestyle, the threat to the way they just do things. And Fabrizio's trying to hold on to his power. He's very interesting. He's a very masculine head of a family. He is a force to be reckoned with. He's very passionate. He has a lot of conviction in his beliefs. And a lot of pride in being Sicilian. And sometimes he's a bit of a morally great character, which is why he's so compelling. But he never does anything straight up like dark. He never like enters that like Thomas Shelby realm, or he never enters that Walter White area where it's like you're sacrificing your family, and do you even really love your family or do you just care about power? Like he never quite enters that realm. I think it's just more like he's just from a bygone era and he wants to do things a certain way. He wants to live like how old kings used to live, and it's just like this isn't that time anymore. And he's flawed for sure. Every character in this show is flawed, much like Game of Thrones, which unless you're like Jon Snow, but every character is flawed in this family, but not extremely flawed where they're just gross immoral people. Like there's a lot of old-fashioned Christian Catholic morals going on here. It's just a very compelling perspective to follow these characters. And I think by the end of the show, you very much understand and respect Fabrizio as a man. And I really loved his character journey and his arc. The two other main characters is his beloved daughter, Concetta, and she is much like him. She is very passionate, very intelligent. She is a force to be reckoned with, but she's also very pure. She is very religious. She is a good daughter, and she's not wild or anything. But she's independent, so she has all of these things. That her journey is just dealing with all these things, like wanting to follow her heart, but loving her father, but then not agreeing with her father, and not agreeing with other people in her family, and romance. And I will say this aspect of the show is where it almost veered into like soap opera with like love triangles and all that, but I don't think it ever entered that realm where I was like, oof, like here we go again with another love triangle. It never quite went there, which I like. It always remained like a mature drama. Her love interest is her cousin Tancredi, if I'm pronouncing that right. She's lived with him her whole life, and he is extremely beloved by her father, by Fabrizio. And he raised him as his own son, and he treats him better than he treats his own son. So he's a very beloved member of the family. But because technically he has no like wealth himself, he's just living off of his uncle. he's treated right, but he just doesn't like the way he's young and he wants to make a name for himself. He doesn't like his way of living, and he actually believes in the Italian politics. He believes in that revolution. So that's where there's a lot of collision between him and his family, and he wants to serve in the Italian military and not in the Sicilian Revolution. So it's just there's a lot of family drama, but then again, because they love him, it's complicated, you know. And yeah, that's the love triangle, and then there's other women going on. Angelica, which I guess I'll get into that now. But that is how I found this show. So full disclosure, the way I found this show was because I saw a post on Instagram, a picture of a beautiful woman that I was immediately struck by, and it was Deva Castle, who plays Angelica, and it said she should have been Snow White, and I was just like, oh, interesting. But again, I was in love. I was in love with this chick, so I was like, who is she? So I looked her up, and I found out that she's the daughter of Italian actress Monica Bellucci and French actor Vincent Cassel. And I was just like, oh my god, because I've had a crush on Monica Bellucci for years, like many men, you know. She is a gorgeous woman, so it was just funny to see that her daughter, of course, got great genes. So I saw the show because I was just so curious to see her, and she's not even in the first episode. She's not a main character, but the show still got me because of how good the writing is, and her performance. I believe this is her like first acting gig. She's very young, she's only like 20 years old, and her performance was also very good. She's absolutely gorgeous, and she totally embodies Angelica. Her character uses her beauty to get status, to manipulate the men around her, because she's young, she's beautiful, but she's also intelligent. She was raised a specific type of way, and that's an aspect of the drama as well. Her father, and how her father raised her to essentially use her beauty to climb the social ladder. So yeah, it's just a very interesting political family drama. They don't spend too much time explaining all the politics of Italy and Sicily, but I did find it extremely interesting, extremely engaging, and I'm also a little bit of a history buff, so I found all of it very entertaining, very interesting. And again, the show's very well written, very high quality in general. The sets, the production design, the costume design, the performances, just all across the board, this show is made at a high quality. I highly recommend this show to people who just love good storytelling, good character writing. And the show doesn't redefine television or anything. It doesn't redefine anything, but it's a very well written show, very well made show that is a great binge. And I just feel like sometimes that's something that we want, you know, just a really good, short, dramatic binge. And yeah, I highly recommend it. Let me know if you've seen it or heard of it. I doubt it, unless you watch like Italian Netflix. I feel like most people have no idea what this show is. I only found it because of that post on Instagram, as I said. But I'm very glad I found it because it was a great watch. But yeah, thanks for watching.